Hey, do you remember playing those browser games as a kid? You know, the ones on Cartoon Network or those online gaming sites? Well, I'll be the first to tell you that they're nothing like they used to be. On the left, we have a beloved classic, Samurai Jack Code of the Samurai. On the right, well, you tell me how this has happened. I now feel like one of those old people who say, wow, look how far technology has come. So this video came about while I was browsing through my Steam library the other day trying to decide what to play as per usual. Of course, that didn't go well, and so an ancient thought popped into my head. Try a browser game. It had been years since I'd gotten the urge, so I was like, sure, you strange sexy voice, I will do just that. You are an agent tasked with assassinating the drivers of every vehicle you slide by on the highway. Why? Because apparently they're spies and we just have to off them. Story aside, the game is hella fun. Sliding down an infinite highway loop, shotgunning vehicles as they pass by is strangely therapeutic. Consisting of trucks and cars, they both have a different amount of shots required in order to take them out. This is a genius design, as while you're sliding down the highway slide, in a split second you have to decide if you want to shoot the truck, which is a good deal harder for more points, or yoink the passing Honda Civic for less. The longer you slide down the highway, the faster you go, causing your heart to skip a beat, and for me at least, to physically start dodging the truck in real life. I started bobbing and weaving as if it was I who was sliding down the highway. Without spoiling too much, you also get a rocket launcher to take care of those pesky trucks if you can slide at just the right time to collect your power up. While it is OP, you can only use it for a few shots, so choose your targets wisely. Okay, picture this. A game where the gameplay is fundamentally you answering yes or no to a question/statement. Sound fun? Well, you're a king who must make choices for the sake of his village. The catch being, sometimes the devil comes and asks you if you would like to trade the souls of your loyal villagers in exchange for riches. Which for me was an obvious choice, but for some people with like morals, integrity, they may have chosen the latter. Either you get gold now by sacrificing half of your population, or you will potentially face big money problems in the future. It's filled with difficult choices, from a fortune-telling vampire named Little Fang asking if you'd like to gaze into his vampiric crystal, which at the time I thought meant something else, only to be met with an apocalyptic fortune loaded with death and misery. Despite these fortunes, it's not always bad though. You see, sometimes you get a visit from your sweet old grandma in need of funds for her startup, which involves selling soup to the town square. How could you say no to this? Anyways, I have played this game longer than some AAAs. This next one nearly gave me a heart attack. You play as a 19-year-old horror novelist named Julia who has to stay home alone since her mother went to the grocery store. It'd be cool if it was just that, right? Well, to Julia's, aka my dismay, there's a deranged maniac on the loose who recently escaped from his prison cell and is headed to my neighborhood as we speak. The premise already makes me want to shed manly tears. See, the thing about horror games as opposed to movies is that you are normally the ones controlling the character, and thus are typically being forced to make terrible life choices. Although answering the door when there's a fucking psycho on the loose in my neighborhood would be a pretty, a bad decision, the game devs make you do it. Most of the time I would be there like, please don't make me answer this, but to progress, I had to face my fears. When I did end up facing my fears, I would sometimes be met with a kind old man who just happened to be looking out for me. Other times, I just have one question for the people that enjoy this stuff. What is wrong with you? Despite saying this game caused an emotional reaction in me that many fail to capture. If you can speak to someone's emotions, you likely have a good game, which is why, although I nearly got a few heart attacks playing it, it truly is a great game. The art style, story, and sheer immersion that you get from playing are unlike many games that I've played in the past. Subjective score, 0 out of 10, because I now have to strengthen my heart. Objective score, I'll give it a 14 out of 10. On a lighter note, what would happen if you put Minecraft Steve on a motorcycle with terrible handling and gave him obstacles to overcome? You'd get the addicting, crazy motorcycle browser game. Controls are floaty, comical, and I'd say easy to learn but hard to master, as you can sway left or right with the motorcycle, but after a threshold, your motorcycle will race off into the direction you've chosen. To build on this, everyone knows snow, ice, and motorcycles do not go well together. For this reason, the devs added snow to make your chill ride to work that much harder. If you're not pitching off to your demise, you have to make some pretty cool jumps, and as this game is momentum based, always accelerating, although fun, is not always the answer. I loved managing my speed to make hard leaps and to avoid obstacles. All in all, you know the motorcycle bros from the circus? This game makes me feel at least half as cool as them. At last, we've reached the emulation side of browser games, something that was definitely not available to me as a kid. As I was deciding on a game to play, I thought to myself, which game would you all like to see that you haven't seen many times before? Seeing the Pokemons, Marios, and Crash Bandicooties all in one place made me a little erect, but in the end, I decided on an edgy game that was familiar but very different. Introducing Pokemon My Ass. If I get cancelled, so be it. I don't exactly know where to begin, but I guess I can tell you that in this Pokemon world, Pokemon are often used as food, which is okay, but this sentence isn't really okay. It starts off the same, where you walk downstairs and go outside, but then you're greeted by the NPCs equipped with questionable dialogue. Apparently I'm a bully who fat shames the little children of the village. As for combat, it's revolutionary. My battle with my rival consisted of us tackling each other to the death. I bet you didn't know Bulbasaur is great against Charmander, huh? Just spam tackle and it's a free win. Pokemon My Ass separates itself through the witty dialogue of its characters. It's the only Pokemon game where I felt like speaking to all of the characters to see what kind of funny lines they were bottling up inside them. Just to clarify, I did this for content, not because I'm a maniac. Thank you. Every time you turn the corner, something unique and interesting unveils itself in front of you. What I mean by this is, when walking through a flowery forest, you don't exactly expect to see an old man being eaten by a group of Poochyena. But hey, I evolved my Bulbasaur to level 7 and learned Leech Seed because of his timely demise. Glass half full, if you know what I mean. As you can tell, I had a lot of fun with this game, but the next one comes from one of my favorite franchises of all time. But first, here are 2 honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut, but were great games nonetheless. Police Pursuit 2, or as I like to say, GTA 4, but you're a cop trying to take down criminals. Out of all the games that I'd played, this had the best graphics, and it was nice taking down petty thieves by means of brutal collisions. What if you had an egg and a dream of making a first-person shooter? Combining the two, you'd get Shell Shockers, a fun little FPS where you load into a team deathmatch, choose a loadout, and start blasting. Gunplay seemed fair and accurate since I was winning most of the time. Also, the weapons all appeared to be viable in the right hands. What I mean by this is that I cannot snipe for my life, or maybe I just don't know where to aim for a headshot when the character is an egg. Pro tip, aim for the tip. Shocked to see it even boot up on a Google Chrome browser. A tear trickling down my face, welcomed by sound effects equivalent to the birds chirping on a hot summer's day to wake you up. The game is none other than Smash Bros. I'm still surprised to see how well it runs. As a kid, I would have killed for this. Now I'm a filthy tryhard when it comes to this game, going as far as plugging in a controller for a game played on a browser. I've reached new levels. Nostalgia aside, even if it were brand new to me, it would be one of my favorite browser games of all time. Controls are smooth enough to where you feel as though your movements aren't hindered by the fact that your gaming machine is Google Chrome. And to put it to the test, I did a full round of the classic mode with yours truly. Stage 1 had me pitted against the hero of Hyrule, who for some reason jumped into a tornado, causing me to win the match. Stage 2, I hammered some Yoshis with this Donkey Day. Stage 3, a space fox got assassinated by his brother Falco Lombardi. Stage 4, I broke some targets and somehow, some way, missed the last one. Final stage, it was now me and the antagonist of No Nut November. Trying to beat a final boss of a platform fighter on a keyboard was a challenge to say the least, but just like any game, as soon as you get whooped by their attack patterns a few times, you learn and use it against them. As if poetry, I had beaten a childhood boss all cause I had an idea to try a browser game. Hey, if you're into PC games, check out this criminally underrated roguelike based on a young marketing intern.